Hello and welcome to Treasuring Every Verse. I'm your host, author and Bible teacher Kevin Madison. Thank you for joining us today. Okay, friends, we're back and we're getting right back into our study. And today, folks, we're going to do some focus on the Antichrist and how he was interacting with the church. And let me rephrase that: how the prophecy and why the church was necessary to bring about this guy, the Antichrist. Why this interlude between law and the tribulation? Why God set Israel aside? That was a purpose behind that. Okay. God was looking for a second witness. Israel was his first witness. God was looking for a second witness. Why? Because in the mouth of two or three witnesses, two or three, does God have two? He had one nation, two types of witnesses. So when we look at God's witnesses, think about it this way. When you look at God's, let's go to the big board. When you look at God's witnesses, all right, you got to look at it from a biblical perspective. So God says, I'm going to have witnesses. He wanted three. Did he need more than two? No, but he wanted three. All right. And I'm going to show you as soon as this thing loads up. All right. So when we look at it, God has three witnesses. So he has witnesses. And that's what he's doing, friends. He's calling out witnesses. What for? Again, let me just draw the worlds up here for you. World one and world two. So world one, world two, for those who's just joining, yes, you got heavens, heaven, heavens, and earth. Now that's for this world right here, for world number one. For world number two, you have heavens with an S, and these are actually side by side. It may be said, I'm not going to redraw it, but then you have New Jerusalem, which is heaven. Okay, so that's the change. The change in world two is that heaven was the highest. Then you have the heavens of heavens, because this was broken into three, okay, three segments. And then you had earth, which is just the physical creation, everything discoverable to man. But then when you think about wherein righteous, so you got sin over here, and this was righteousness. This is the place that Jesus says he's going to take us, where I am. Where's Jesus right now? Say, oh, he's sitting up here. No, man. No, God inhabits eternity. But as far as Jesus is concerned, this is the place where we're going. You already here. This place is going to be destroyed. 2 Peter chapter 3. Go read all about it. This place is going away. That's why nobody's going to live here. No one is going to remain here. No angel, no demon, no nothing. God is going to evaporate this thing, annihilate it. Okay? That's why he wants witnesses. He created this world, friends, to bring witnesses from this world over here. Why? Because here in this earth, right here, there are going to be normal people like you and I born in this world. Lots of them. Lots of them. And they won't know anything about this world. They won't have a clue. So they're going to come around, they're going to say, they're going to hear God say, I'm merciful, I'm kind, I'm full of, I'm righteous. I'm just. I have tender, loving care and kindness. All these different attributes that God has. That God gets angry. His righteous indignation. That God is just. He's a just judge. That God has wrath. See, we're going to have witnesses. You're going to have witnesses in this place. Oh, and by the way, there's another place over here called outer darkness. All right? And this is the lake of fire in this place called outer darkness. And it's part of world number 2. Okay? So, there are going to be witnesses here of God's wrath. God's going to be able to point people to his wrath by all the unbelievers and fallen angels. So out of the two groups of beings, okay? So when we move over, out of the two groups of beings, that's only two, folks. There are angels and there's mankind. That's it. There are no aliens. The only aliens that's in the world is these people. Why? Because they're not part of the earth. They're not part of physical creation. They're spiritual beings, always have been. But God made us mortals. Now, so the witnesses are coming from these two groups, angels and men. There's going to be witnesses to God's mercy and God's grace. Then, on the flip side, they're going to be witnesses to God's wrath and God's justice. You see that? The witnesses to God's mercy and God's grace are going to come here to the New Jerusalem. The witnesses to God's wrath and God's justice are going to come here. And guess what? He's going to have witnesses out of both groups. So do you now see what God is doing? These people who's going to be born here and won't know anything about that, he's going to be able to call you if you're in heaven. And he's going to tell them to tell them about God's mercy and God's grace. And no, you're not going to repeat some crazy testimony that people give today. Oh, I was a drunkard. Oh, I was a prostitute. Oh, I was a big time fornicator on drugs. No, friend. That's not what you're going to be saying. You're going to testify to Christ. You're going to testify about the blood. That's going to be the word of your testimony. That's what the Bible says. So the answer is going to be what's already given to you in in the book. How do I know that? Because when you get into Revelation, what did it say? They loved not their lives to the death. They gave the testimony of what? The blood of the Lamb. They pointed to Christ. Everybody in heaven is going to point to Christ, not some event that took place in a sin-sick world. No, friend, that's not what's going to happen. Then God himself is going to point people to this place. The Bible says the angels are going to be able to see it. You know what that tells us? That we're going to be able to see it. Not only does it tell us that, the Bible tells you over here